Guys, it's almost time for the most exciting time of the year, guys. Holy cow, I am absolutely jazzed for this. You ready for it? It's almost time for Halloween. Holy cow, guys. So what are we talking today about? Today, we're talking about a game that I discovered many years ago. Not during my youth, mind you. Well, I mean, I was technically youthful then. We're talking about a game that is becoming slightly more popular as the years go on. It's not so unknown anymore. What's that game, you might be asking? Well, before we get into the name, let's actually roll the attract screen for this game. I don't think you guys are ready. Roll that attract screen. Holy cow! Yeah, that's right. Night Slashers for the arcade, released in 1993 by Data East. So, this is a Data East game. You may or may not know actually that Data East's quality for arcade games are either really goddamn fantastic or really bad. Where does this game lie in between? Well, I mean, did you catch some of that gameplay? It's definitely not bad. Definitely not bad. Is it one of their best? Hell no. But it's far from being anywhere near bad. It's Night Slashers. So Night Slashers, let's get into this game. What's this game about? Is there any history? Let's talk about it, guys. Night Slashers is one of those games that doesn't really have a lot of information readily available on the internet. I mean, even the arcade flyers doesn't really say much about this game, which really sucks, because I definitely want to know the inspiration for this game. Even though, granted, you can... If you guys caught that attract screen, you guys can pretty much tell where all of the influences and inspiration came from. Honestly, like, you can pretty much already tell where all the influences came from. Was that a Streets of Rage homage on there? With that streetcar hitting that thug? I mean, thugs, I guess, but more zombies, I should say. Was that a Streets of Rage homage? You be the judge. So guys, not much information out on this game. The only real concrete details was that there are different iterations of this game, different versions of it. There is the American version, which had the blood recolored green, which is not the version I'll be playing, because it is obviously the inferior version. And there is the Korean and the Japanese version. The Japanese version having uncensored, so all the blood is red, all the gore is intact, all the graphic violence is there, all the graphic death scenes for the zombies is also there. The American version was released in 1994 from the looks of it. Even though the Japanese version was released a year earlier, there's really no concrete details on that date yet, unfortunately. Beyond that though, there's really not much else to talk about this game in terms of history. So, let's actually talk about the graphics, the music, and the sounds. Just how does this game look? Let's hop right into it, yeah? So, one of the first things you'll notice in this game is that this game is very pretty. It is an extremely good looking game. This is a 1993 release, as I mentioned, by Data East. As I mentioned previously on my RoboCop video, Data East games always look superb. The color palettes look extremely good. Going for that dark, that really dark look in this game, and covering it with a layer of cheese with some of the dialogue choices of the characters, such as Jake, which I will destroy them all, or Christopher saying, "You caught me off guard." It really does add to that cheesiness in this game. It is very corny, but it is absolutely awesome. Definitely great. So that pretty much bleeds into the sound. This game sounds, obviously, I mean, shit. Did you goddamn listen to that first level theme song? It's literally playing right now. In fact, let's listen to a soundbite, yeah? Let's listen to a small clip of that. Holy crap! That is absolutely awesome. That music, ooh, goddamn stellar. That soundtrack is absolutely stellar. Granted, the stage 1, obviously, if you guys know your video game design, stage 1 soundtracks are always going to be pretty much one of the best songs in the game, just because it's supposed to rope you in immediately as quickly as possible to grab your attention. So stage 1 obviously sounds really good. There's also stage 3. Stage 3 also has a really good sound. Has absolutely really good song as well. I mean, listen to that as well. Tubular, man. Tubular. So yeah, guys. The graphics, as I said, look really good. This is a really pretty beat 'em up. The the gore looks absolutely fantastic. The characters are they're very well animated. They're not too bad. They control very well, which that will go into gameplay, but that'll be for a little bit later. The sets themselves, the backgrounds, look pretty great. They are absolutely great. I do like the fact that the backgrounds are very different from one another. You have a morgue, or the hospital, even though you are in a morgue for part of it. You have a castle, you have ruins, you have the interior of a castle, or I guess Dracula's mansion. I don't know, I'm playing the Japanese version. I have no idea where the hell this is taking place. So yeah, that's pretty goddamn rad. So without further ado, let's actually talk about that gameplay, cause holy crap. For a beat 'em up, for beat 'em up, it's not too complicated, but there is quite a bit to unpack here. So let's jump right into it, yeah? So gameplay. How does this game play? How does this game feel? What's it like to play this game? So, it's a beat 'em up. It's in the same vein as any and every other beat 'em up. So Final Fight, Streets of Rage, anything else in that wheelhouse, Golden Axe. So, with that being said, there's obviously a jump, there's a move, you can move in 8 directions. You can move 8 directions on the screen, obviously. Different layers as well. So you can move all over that nice layer. You can attack enemies, because there's obviously an attack button. There's also a desperation maneuver, that by shaving off a sliver of your life, you can attack enemies that are surrounding you, just to break free. There's also crowd control as well. So you do have grabs, you have a grapple, you have a throw. Obviously, they're going to have that. Obviously, the throws, when you throw enemies, they do bash into each other and they knock them down. Absolutely excellent for crowd control. Works out extremely well in this game's favor. So, what's actually different about this game? What makes this game slightly different from other beat 'em ups? I'm glad you asked, dear viewer. So, this game does have a charge maneuver. They do have a charge maneuver. By holding down the attack button for a bit, you'll see a small circle form around your character. When you let go of that button, either by jumping, when you are in the air in other words, or on the ground, you will do one solid attack that deals a moderate amount of damage. So it's one of those risk rewards things. So you can stop attacking and charge that attack, but you obviously cannot attack while you have that button held down. But when you do let go, it does deal a moderate amount of damage. But I mean, honestly, for a game like this, especially if you're playing on one player, every second pretty much counts. And there is something else as well. You can actually bury your enemies into the ground. Now, this is actually pretty goddamn rad. You can actually bury your enemies into the ground. So by jumping into the air, holding down and the attack button, your character will do a move that will essentially bury your enemies straight into the ground, and then you are actually allowed to kick them in the face. You can kick them in the goddamn face. Absolutely awesome. Totally radical, man. That's pretty badass. Like, I can't get over how badass that is. Bear in mind, the gore in this game alone is stupendous. This game is very well detailed. So guys, there's that, and there is one more thing you do have. You do have a move, a special move dedicated to a third button that clears out the entire screen of enemies. There is one small problem with this move. It takes away a huge chunk of your health. I'm talking a large portion of your health, like more than half of your health will go straight to this move. So you should obviously use this move if you have quarter to spare, or if you're playing it on MAME, if you're playing it on that illegally, then yeah, go ahead and use it. If you're frustrated with a certain boss, just to get him out of the way as quickly as possible, then yeah, go ahead and use it. So without further ado, let's actually talk about the characters. So the characters themselves, you have 3 different characters. You're obviously going to have 3 characters that have different abilities from one another. You obviously have the fast guy who's really fast, who happens to be Hung Hua. She is the agile fighter in the game. You obviously need a guy, talking about this guy over here, like that, to be in your game. You need someone fast. And then you obviously have your strong, big, strong guy, who happens to be a damn American. So yeah, so he's in the game. He does a bunch of cool stuff. He's obviously slow compared to the other characters, but he does deal quite a punch. He deals a ton of damage, especially his grab, which, let's actually take a look at that standing grab attack, yeah? Let's take a look at that move real quick. It's goddamn awe-inspiring, man. Goddamn awe-inspiring. Anyway, you also have Christopher, who is a European martial artist. He's pretty much the Cody of the game. He's the every other guy. He's the average Joe. Regular dude. Except, you know, he has holy water. He has holy water and he uses a cross to attack enemies. So yeah, he's in the game. Martial artist, average dude. Pretty much the characters play similar enough to each other with slight variances in speed and attack power. Not really much else to say on the characters themselves. As I mentioned as well, the gameplay is pretty good. It's pretty solid. The game moves at a really nice pace as well. It's not slow at all. For a game like this, you can't really afford to be slow. There's always something going on the screen, whether it be that one stage where you fight Pinocchio and goddamn Geppetto. What the hell, man? You really goddamn fight Pinocchio and Geppetto in this game. Did I also mention that they goddamn melt? Holy cow, that is absolutely awesome. Plus, through the enemies in this game, you also have Frankenstein himself. And no, guys, I'm not a man with pedestrian taste and pedestrian knowledge. I happen to know that Frankenstein is the name of the mad scientist. I do know that the Frankenstein that people like to refer to is obviously the monster. He actually does not have a name. That's why he's called Frankenstein's monster. I'm not a man of unculturedness. I'm a man of class. I'm not an uncultured swine. Okay, guys. I'm pretty sure we all know that, though, if you're watching this video. If not, hi! You learned something new today. But yeah, guys. Yeah, you do fight that. You also fight a sword as well. Yeah, you fight a goddamn sword in this game. I mean, granted, you don't actually get to fight the sword. You fight armor that the sword is controlling, which is actually pretty cool. And I'm actually not too entirely sure where that sword comes from, so I'm gonna look it up. I'm just gonna toss it in the description of this video so you guys won't make fun of me too bad. And did I also mention you also fight Dracula in this game? Yeah, you fight Dracula, and I'm wearing my Castlevania shirt. Holy cow, you fight goddamn Dracula in this game. You fight the real deal Count Dracula in this game. Holy shit, that is absolutely awesome. Plus, dude, when you kick his ass, he just turns to stone and just crumples to the ground. That's pretty badass. That is absolutely badass. And you actually do fight a golem in this game as well. So yes, your characters literally beat down a golem with their bare fist and their feet. They kick it. Your characters are so badass. They punch the earth itself. That is absolutely rad. Or, you know, if you're playing Jake, you can just do this, what he does. God bless you, Jake. We need more Americans like you in this country. Well, maybe not. I don't really think we need more unhinged Americans here in America. But yeah, guys. The final level in this game, you do fight a gauntlet, and I do mean a gauntlet of all the enemies you fought. So all the bosses that you fought in this game, you do fight them all over again. The enemies themselves do start repeating after stage 3. The game does run out of enemies. Thankfully, this game is short enough. You can beat this game in about 30 to 40 minutes. So it is a typical beat 'em up length, which is an absolutely welcome thing. The final boss itself is actually pretty cool. You do fight the final boss. It's a giant mech, demonized mech, and for some reason I'm getting a lot of Doom vibes from that. I do get a lot of Doom vibes from that. But it is a pretty badass boss. It's pretty easy to beat. Plus, too, your characters do run away from the exploding base, which is absolutely awesome. Also, the American version is actually considered slightly more difficult than the Japanese version. So, here in America, we did get the neutered version of the arcade game of Night Slashers. Which, I mean, if the game's called Night Slashers, are you really gonna let your kid play a game called Night Slashers? That's like your kid going to go watch a movie, and you ask your kid, what movie is that? And they say, oh, Mom, I'm gonna go watch Samurai Sluts from Hell. It's like, oh, alright, little Jimmy, have fun at Samurai Sluts from Hell. I don't know what kind of parent would do that. I mean, clearly the name like that, I think you would know, right? I think you would know not to, you know, not to let your kid play a game like that. You know, just saying. But yeah, so we got that. But, we did get a slightly more difficult version of the game, which... Okay. I mean... Okay, that's cool. Because this game is actually pretty easy. It's not that difficult to beat. It goes by fairly quickly, which is a pretty good thing because as a man who loves beat-em-ups, I do know beat-em-ups are very, very repetitive. It's essentially walk to the right, beat up guys, keep mashing that same button over and over and over again until they die, and then keep moving to the right again. I definitely understand that that does get really tedious. So guys, without further ado, let's move on to the final part of this video. What are my thoughts on this game, you're asking? Honestly, do I really have to tell you much about this game? Anything else? Did you see that gameplay? Did you see Christopher goddamn DDT a goddamn werewolf and a zombie? I mean, if that alone doesn't sell you on this game, pretty much nothing else will. So, I definitely recommend this game. This game is an absolute blast to play. It's short enough as to where you won't get bored with it. It's extremely fun with 2 players. There is a 3-player configuration for this game as well. So, 3 people can play. You and 2 of your friends can play this game. I really, really do recommend this game. If you ever, and I mean ever, see this game out in the wild, definitely pop some quarters in. You will not be disappointed in your choice of games. This game is an absolute joy to play. Unfortunately, like a lot of arcade games, this game was not ported to anything. And that is an absolute bummer because I'm pretty sure this game would have sold very, very well. So guys, what are you gonna do? You can either buy the arcade board itself and play, but if you're anything like me, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna do that, and your main choice is just gonna be to use but yeah, do it. I'm pretty sure Data East doesn't really care. I definitely recommend this game. Play it. It'll set you right in the mood for some Halloween slasher flicks. After all, this game is called Night Slashers. And by the way, before we end this video, I'm pretty sure not a lot of people have noticed, but have you guys ever noticed how Night Slashers sounds like the name of a really, really badass band, heavy metal band? I mean, even the font itself looks like one. And you know, I really, really like looking at those. That's like Violent Storm, their font, the Konami beat 'em up. Violent Storm, or hell, even Final Fight. Hell, in fact, Final Fight is a band, if I remember correctly. But yeah, guys, I say play this game. Absolutely recommended. Very easy to pick up and play. Even if you don't use the special moves, the charge maneuvers, I definitely recommend this game. So guys, without further ado, thanks for tuning in, and remember, stay absolutely spooky.